podcast. This podcast is for leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership to level up their business and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business topics, trends, innovation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, we meet an entrepreneur, a technical services leader, and investment promoter, a member of the Zimbabwe Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and a global citizen doing business in various cities around the world, mainly Harare, Dubai, and Cape Town. We welcome David Binza, CEO of Darafin, a South African registered global trade consultancy firm, and a business that is focused on international trade. We will learn about David's perspective and expertise on global trade as an economic growth catalyst for Africa and technologies in managing a diverse and effective supply chain. Welcome, David. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome, Stephen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk and also share what sometimes we keep within the four corners of our houses and minds. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Wonderful. David, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that you're in a wonderful place by the coastal area. And I'm here in the UK. So just tell us where you based?
Okay, so I'm based in the three cities of Darafin, which is Cape Town, Harare, and Dubai. So I mainly, sit in these three different places for different reasons for the business. So I literally am, comfortable in all these three places because they all have their own flavor, should I say. But as a person who's trying to grow a business, I feel you should be comfortable in, multiple cities and have your own appetite in all these places.
So this is it west or southwest of South Africa? Where exactly is it?
So we have Cape Town, which is close to the ocean. So should I say False Bay, and that's a place where most of our business originates from a lot of the Western Cape, the capital in itself. So when you are into trade, you want to be closer to certain people, and Cape Town is a very comfortable place to do business in terms of international trade. So I'm also from Harare, so we have business there, so that's home. Dubai is where we spend a lot of time because we want to be able to bank efficiently. So in international trade, you end up having a person without being based in one particular zone, like in London, like yourself. But you have to be able to move around and be able to attract more cities into your portfolio. That creates a better synergy to what you want to achieve. So that's David.
Wonderful. David, tell us a little bit more about your personal journey and the intersection with your professional journey. How did you come about to what you're doing today? Just walk us through it.
Okay, so I'm a person who's naturally into sciences. I believe I grew up in a very formal education system in Zimbabwe, which is quite rightly opened up a very formal approach to life and how we do things. So the scientist in me led to a path where I wanted to express myself in a manner of helping people. So I saw occupational health and safety as a manner of prevention of that. We want to say we can operate on a person who's already about to die. I want to save lives, but the actual saving lives is where people spend their time. We're 80% at work, and these people really need a caring person at that level who can actually influence them. So I saw that journey up until 2017 formally with Health Development Academy Award in Zimbabwe, which is an occupational health and safety diploma. What this entails is that I understand the law of my country. taken out my experience from my high school years and through my experience in Russia to learn a lot of things to say that no, you go through this formal experience that leads to a point where you can say I'm part of an institute, which is the Occupational Health and Safety Institute, which is now you being recognized by your peers as not only your education, but your ability to actually help on the ground. And it's something that I started to see as value in impacting to others when I had assistants who would come to my site, when I'm working, that transformation of actually helping 200 people at a time. And that was something that I found very attractive and very informative. And I'm learning different people, I'm helping different people. And being basically a person who stands with my science, I still also like the commercial side of, of industry. So my affiliation between, actually doing this big industry business where you have huge construction sites, where does the commercial balance come in? That's where the international trade comes in with my experience in economics. Uh, all these things is through the years going through various companies from, the largest colliery in Zimbabwe to the largest construction company in Zimbabwe. So working through the years, these companies teach you a certain steadiness, understanding, and they teach you a certain etiquette in business, in how you present yourself, to a point where I realized that I need to take the leap. This ability in administrative ability and system to a certain level, where I feel I'm also, capable. And South Africa gives me the opportunity through my various partners and the Cosmopolitan and the Rainbow Nation and all these things allows me to be able to move around and be comfortable with the company that gives me the opportunity to mind about the miner who's actually giving us the product, to them getting paid the right way and we investing in them and investing in their banking system, investing in the whole value chain, as I mentioned, and ensuring that people trade their materials to the best possible people in a safe possible manner. And that's something I'm highly passionate
Okay.
about.
That's a very interesting journey that you've started and where you're at. So, David, you're committed to workplace health and safety, but at the same time, you also mentioned that there is a commercial element to it, which is the global trade or the international trade element. And you're leveraging that as you described it as a catalyst for the region within Africa, and also you're bringing in all the technologies to support that. Tell us just very briefly, I know you touched on this, but what is your value proposition?
Well, value is what this is all about, getting to the bank. I think we expressed ourselves when we got to a website point where we wanted to speak to the people and express what do we exactly do and where we look for our money. We are into commodity sourcing. What commodity sourcing does to us is we speak to the miner. We know miners at various stage. There's some people who have good ground, but they don't have permit. So that remember that occupational health and industrial hygiene, I'm very particular about permits. I'm particular about things being done right. So I advise on these different suppliers till they actually can trade. And having a leverage on that is what we call commodity sourcing. So we have, tiers in which we approach our market and the value we get from that is that, for example, we find a lot of people are looking to invest in certain commodities in a safe manner from Africa. And there are a lot of people who doubt, were skeptical of this, but we want to create a Darafin brand, which is something that connects with those miners who are actually on the ground, getting it off, the dirty rock, but actually trading to the best bidder in a safe way, in a manner that we feel, we guided it. So that passion of quality, everything comes to, ISO, working in that, like I said, high end we want to do things right environment pushed me to want to do it within my own firm, within my own direction. And Darafin within its shareholding structure allowed me to express myself more in this. And so we source for commodities. We have a working relationship with an investment bank, which assists us with trade finance. So if we have a good deal, they will assist us. So we have funding backing of good transactions there. So we actually invite suppliers who actually think about exporting to say, come on the table. We can actually get you on the table with the right people and get you to trade to the best market possible. And that for me is satisfying in the sense that we do actually help the people. Entrepreneurship is about helping a person from the person we think is not capable, but that in Africa you might say see someone but they have land which has good minerals, good agricultural inputs can come out of the export products can come out of there. We want to be able to have that synergy of trade. So yeah, it's about really pushing our commodities into the international market and working on the international level. So Darafin really does offer much in that regard in terms of value. The final thing is we're a broker. We broker for companies that do not know the laws. For example, in South Africa, we assist them with the laws, with logistics, and all those other things. Those are subcontracts that we work with other people and third-party responsibilities like SGS and so forth. So we feel we're a company that's within the fullness, like I said, the shareholding of this organization and the various partners, like the specialist in oil, specialist in mining, assists me to be able to put that level of administration and quality into all these systems and actually bring out value and actually good deal.
Yeah. And so you're basically operating on a business to business model. Is that true?
The business to business model we work is very much correct, but we realized our situation is not only online. Like we faced a lot of situation where we find people are trading. You put a particular commodity online. We actually work with the mines that we work with. You'd understand there's a commodity like coal, which is big, in certain countries, the environment, yes, we think about it. So there's a lot of things that from me coming from a coal background that I realized that there's value that I have even in the trading aspect of it. So we hold contracts. We actually end up buying ourselves as Darafin. So we are now a trading company. So we can actually acquire instruments and we have products like fuel that getting at a vessel or level. We instruments are actually pushing to try get our business actually within the synergy of the market. So we are B2B and we are also our own traders. So we find value. So every day I meet various people offering various things, interesting things. So we always try to bring an African into the mix to be able to trade their goods and ensure they help them to have all the permits required for them to be able to bring export, including the fund.
Yeah. David, you've obviously got a lot of experience and a lot of exposure across the different ecosystem, and you have a working firm as well that is that's thriving. Tell us a little bit more about your leadership. What's an experience or a story that you can share from the time as a senior leader or in your existing role where it's resulted in a highly positive outcome.
Okay, there's something that I always do, which is the legacy thing. I actually found out that when I got into actually working with people every day, I realized that I have a responsibility over them in my role in safety, because you probably induct everyone, so you know everyone on a one-on-one basis, and you always have to be really sensitive to what they're going through. So as safety, specialist all on the construction site in Harare. The CBZ of Zimbabwe, the Commercial Bank of Zimbabwe, we are building what are called, their headquarters. It's like three two-story buildings, in a massive but rather small space. But the largest construction company in Zimbabwe, Masimba, we're there. We have subcontractors, we have people, over 270 workers at a time at that construction site, and I'm responsible for each and every task on a sign a task basis. So I had almost 1,000 job cards every single week. It was really a lot of work that focuses on the person. Do they actually know what they're doing in their work cycle, and documenting it. So you're actually seeing trends that I realized that one thing that we should always remember that makes that leadership, that everyone is important, is a little thing I used to do at what we call toolbox talk just before work. I'll get on site and we all go around, there's a prayer, we talk about, something about safety. We always keep it short, and then, people get their job deeds and everything. People start work at the site, people have to start work early. So I'll tell one very early in the, one, some guys I knew, they're young, they seem, very quiet. You bring them in and say, come with me to the middle. And I would ask everyone to say, okay, who's really responsible for this young man? And a lot of guys would look down, expecting time, they're not really, caring. But then you'd find that, when I raise my hand and, a few others, and we ask who's really important here, who is really responsible for this young man, everybody raises their hand, and then they realize that that's the actual reason everyone is alive. We're responsible for each other, and for us to actually create an ecosystem that thrives, in our commercial requirements to actually be met, we can actually do it. So it's something that I hold fond now, and I implement in a lot of our systems with different partners to actually realize that some deals might seem difficult, but if you communicate correctly, you perform, you put in the right requirements in terms of ISO. I strongly believe ISO is there for a reason. So I'm that kind of person now that believes everyone is important and tries to instill that in my work ethic every day.
Wonderful, David. And as you have been probably experiencing, pandemic has been hard on pretty much everyone. How are you navigating through that?
Well, the internet is something amazing. I realized one thing about the pandemic. We realized that we're so used to our human-to-human interaction, and how we can use technology using the palm of our hands with a cell phone. But I realized with me as a person and growth, we have to come onto the internet, and we have to have a dynamic website that's actually alive and breathing, which has information and content that is relevant to the time and space. So I put a lot of time in, working with my team to get a proper website up. So it was, a blessing in disguise, because we wanted our website to be modern, to be fresh, to be something that you can actually go to Darafin co.za and be able to see the world of commodities, what it is to actually trade the actual commodity. That's what benefits the actual miner in Africa. You see numbers on the wall, some of them actually don't reach the right people. So we're trying to bridge that gap and actually grow, smallholder miners, smallholder farmers to actually export. And something that is exciting. And I feel the pandemic hit everyone, unfortunately, but we have to remain positive and build the world forward. I believe in positivity, and the right energy is to look into the future and do the right things going forward.
Yeah, it's it's such an important topic about, or rather, a lot of topics have actually been risen as a result of pandemic when we talk about mental health, even workplace safety, and even how you're doing business. It's completely changed. I'm curious from where you are at located. You're in South Africa. You do business within the African region, but you also do global business, global trade as well. But within where you're at, did you really feel the effects of it? And have you completely bounced back from it, or is that still kind of just navigating through
Well,
the surface?
well, Africa is Africa, like I mentioned to you, when we said South Africa and Zimbabwe and Dubai, which is the UAE, we were still able only to work within Africa, to stay within Africa. It was really bad, everyone was on quarantine. It was really bad, people, you know, passed away, people we dear and love. And, it's something that's real, but now it's not a topic as such. We're now not obsessing on masks, we're traveling, and we're now back connected to Dubai. So our business starts, with banking. If I can be fancy with my words in administration, but if I'm not playing with the bank, I'm not doing my work correctly. So
Hmm.
my responsibility now as a CEO is to ensure that everything that I do, post pandemic is as quickly as possible. Also, to ensure we cover a lot of you know anxious moments we had, in the past 2 years, but we feel we can start, meeting, traveling, talking, getting products moving from various places. We were affected by the war, yes. We're into commodities, and that really shocked the market and things like that. So a lot of things do happen that is, already post pandemic that we still want to deal with, but we remain, astute, since our group of partners and buyers and sellers that trust in our ability to create a synergy for them and us to trade together in multiple commodities has always been a happy thing. So I'm happy with the post pandemic work ethic now with certain companies. So we're recovering. I think Africa is in a very good place now to be able to push a lot of things, especially in the EV market. We have a lot of resources in that space. We want not only for people to realize the benefit from the mineral, but from the value chain, the logistics, the training, that happens when engineers cross from one, country to another to help each other in installing big machines. Those type of things I think about. So I think post-pandemic is about positivity, and especially in business. And if you really have the guts to be a leader, to say, what am I going to make sure that 100 or 150 people get their salaries at the end of the month, you really have to think positively post-pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you do that, David? I mean, like, do you obviously you're in the highest position within the organization. So where do you get your inspiration from as a leader? Do you follow other leaders? Do you have your own map? How exactly do you do that?
Well, to be honest, you draw inspiration out of certain people as you grow from school to actually the workplace. You draw certain people where you have actually seen successful systems, and you want to emulate them, but your hunger is not the same in a certain position. When you're an employee, you're restricted to certain rules and precepts. But in my situation, I'm interested in everything possible for my organization, and that hunger is what keeps, like say, where do you get the ideas? The ideas use that standard etiquette in administration, keep going for the highest possible opportunity. So the synergy grows within the ecosystem. You end up making partners with specialists, like people who feel they need a strong administration within the fuel. Like we know fuel is something very important for us, and I feel responsible as well as a commodity, that we don't want people to overcharge, in a system where we want it to be priced correctly for all the other, lower hanging commodities to be cheaper and to be tradable nicely, for our logistics partners not to overcharge. Those things become part of everything you care about. So I feel my hunger is to keep every single connection within the ecosystem of our business that actually pays us to be efficient. So that's a bit, need to be CEO situation. So that's usually what it ends up being. But that hunger to keep on making synergies, to grow the business, to get more contracts, to get more partners, that is something I hold dear, to grow the business and meeting new people, actually making changes on the ground.
Excellent. David, you mentioned about workplace safety and global trade and so forth, but is there any other important topics or trends on your mind, just generally where you're at, that you feel impact people, business leaders, boards, and any areas that they need to focus on? Any important topics that come to your mind?
Well, coming from Zimbabwe, I feel, a lot of people focus on things like politics. They focus on things like, negative knowledge of, where this, where that. I feel very strongly towards a more clean understanding of life. I feel strongly towards sport. I feel the energy people put when, when they're supporting a sporting event, where they're thinking about sports. People might think that's the most casual and unusual thing, but I've seen 40,000 people screaming and not being, in any each other's throats because of football, but put a different topic there and there's trouble, So I feel my country very strongly about sports and about, cleaning the environment through the right infrastructure. So I believe in in any sense to what you're saying, that we can actually build a better world through sport. And I really love Real Madrid, in that sense,
Yeah.
that strive for excellence. I feel that should be for Africa. If we can have that same mentality in every organization, that we strive for excellence, and we can instill that same mentality into our young kids through sport, you can actually see a discipline. Because I used to play sport a lot when I was a kid. I love football because I was quick, and up to now, I know how it helped me to discipline my mind, to keep myself healthy, and I feel a lot more responsible towards Africa, towards that. And I feel I should be putting more of my time of the investment into that, because obviously I'm thinking about the commercial part of the business every day, because I have to, be responsible for the outcome. But at the end of the day, I think we should collectively bring that topic on as business people in Southern Africa, especially, to see the change South Africa got from the World Cup. For example, the development, the jobs, the infrastructure. We need that also in Zimbabwe. So I feel strongly that being a global citizen, maybe I can bring some of these ideas and meet these people that are willing to invest in, good land and good real estate and all these things. So yeah, we're growing within that. So we have a vision, and that's, strongly feel that, we can still grow in that aspect as a business, to invest more into things like sports. Yes, that's something I feel strongly about.
Wonderful. David, tell us a little bit more about you. What does a day in the life of David look like? Start morning to bedtime.
Okay. Uh, well, I like my late morning because I like my late night. That's that's the unusual thing, because sometimes you have to realize the time differences with certain people you're working with. But early morning, I like to pray. I'm a spiritual person. I believe very strongly into God, and I know that I need to humble my mind and thoughts every morning, to know that, there's an ultimate in terms of what I do. And then I have my coffee. The first button that goes straight to these days, it's WhatsApp and emails. Before I breathe, I have to look at them, and then, I trace down each and every event that is requiring my attention. Sometimes I have to address something quite late, sometimes, so that I can, the person can wake up and just find it, and I don't really have to be really on it early, because, I have to make sure that all these issues that come through from different transactions, new contacts, new suppliers. David, I've got this person who wants that. David, so I have my way of working through all the issues. I speak a lot with my chairman, Mr. Nityan Mamato. He's a South African experienced former NC, uh, serious person in terms of business, former, managing director of Chancellor House. So he's someone I speak to a lot. He's a senior person. He's someone of great wisdom. So after I speak to him, he get perspective to the transactions which we can take on, and some of which we can't. We also talk to a lot of suppliers. We have to hear what everyone has to say as a business. So a lot of what I do then goes to finding what the chairman thinks about that, and then actually making the decision after the discussions with other shareholders, and getting documents through to suppliers, to different buyers, and also making sure that I talk to buyers, because the whole point that keeps us afloat is, you sitting there, Steve, and you have $10 million, you want to, buy something in Africa. We want to make sure we continuously talk to you, you are happy, you see everything, and the legalities are in place. So there's a lot of that as well that makes the late nights, because sometimes my clients are Indonesian, some people in Hong Kong, some people, in the Middle East. So it's like that. A lot of Zoom meetings these days. Zoom has become acceptable. So uh, after that, I'd like to spend time with my daughter and my wife. Yeah, that is very important. That refreshes my mind. And my daughter is 2 years now. She's a lot of energy, but she's an inspiration in herself. And my wife, that's great support and backing. Lynette, so now it's David's winding down, and just being able now to check a few of my social media things like LinkedIn. Of course, I feel there's a good place to talk about real things there, and wind down, and probably watch a Real Madrid match if possible. They're always late, so that's good enough for me. Because they always start at 10, and that's the day in the life of David.
Excellent. That's a full day. It's definitely a
Yeah.
full day. David, we are coming to a close. Do you have any closing messages or even a challenge to other leaders that you want to share here?
Yeah, I feel strongly about our abilities now to come out of the shadows of Africans, to be able to speak at a global level, to actually know that, you know, example of this platform, we can actually talk and realize that, let's come out. There are a lot of people with a lot of good stuff in Africa, I'll tell you that, and they just hold back and think, they're gonna come and they're gonna take, buy from me, or trade in that manner. Let's start being open to trading internationally. That's the only way we can build those big factories. That's the only way we can build those big jobs. Construction companies start building big warehouses, and that creates a sub economy in everything we do. So I'm very much passionate about pushing for everyone who is in Africa in business to try and push for export. Let's think about exports. That's the only way as Africa we can catch up. You hear the word development. You should be excited about development, because it means there's opportunity. So developing or emerging markets are a hive of opportunity. So I feel strongly about that, pushing for opportunity of export. And those companies that are feeling a bit nervous, come to Darafin. We can assist you to trade comfortably, to get, the right advice, and to get a friend in your, path to getting an excellent product base. Whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, whether you're an agent, we're trying to build synergies where, even a conversation you can learn. That learning in a good conversation with the right person, you can then bring the right person for a right transaction. So a lot of these things people forget, that the base interaction of people interested in international trade creates factories. In essence, a conversation can create a factory. I'm very passionate about that and bringing Darafin at the forefront to be the buyer, to be the seller, to be the broker, and to be the question mark there for everyone to say, what's the answer? And ultimately, yes, the answer is the solution in each other. So Darafin and its shareholders who are capable and knowledgeable partners in specialist zones of fuel, mining, agriculture, investment banking, we feel very strongly that we can push Africa forward.
Wise words from a leader and who is bringing elevated awareness to doing business in Africa. David, thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode where we will hear from a ex-Marine who is now a business leader on his journey of building a new business. And we'll hear more about that in the next episode. Thank you very much and have a wonderful